So we're starting with a new topic today. New Post-it note. The new Post-it note says renunciation. Now, don't get freaked out by the word because that's a heavy word. When I think about renunciation, when I first heard that word, it really felt very punitive to me. Like it's about resisting something or depriving oneself of something. It didn't have kind of a good feeling. It didn't make sense to me why it was a good thing and why it's actually so important in the practice. But how we normally think about it is it's this rejection, right? We are depriving ourselves and we're good people if we can interrupt and not, and follow through with that. And we're bad people if we can't stop something, if we can't resist it, if we're not ready to. So it sets up this weird false dichotomy that actually is not helpful. And that's not what the Buddha was wanting us to do. That's not the direction. The Buddha was really about investigation, ehipassiko. Ehipassiko is everywhere in the suttas. Come and see for yourself. Don't trust me. Don't trust Bill. Don't trust anybody else, but trust your own experience. And he gives us some things to kind of look for. So we are asked to take a look at what we're doing and see how it feels. So again and again, we're invited to do that, not once, but many times throughout the day, as many times as we can remember. What are we doing and how does it feel? How are we doing it? And what we start to discover when we investigate in that way is that there are things that we do that really lead to our ease of well-being, that really do lead to less suffering. There are a lot of things that we do that cause us some suffering, right? And we've been talking about that over the past month, haven't we? About the things that kind of get us into trouble, get us hooked, vices, unwholesome habits. These are the things that we actually want to begin to let go of, though, right? This is exactly what renunciation is about. It's about letting go of the unskillful, letting go of the things that cause you harm, the things that cause other people harm. And what he says is, it's a long path. If we can abandon it, let it go, just drop it. If you can let it go, do that. But sometimes you can't abandon it. So if you can't abandon something that's unwholesome, well, let's restrain it. Let's contain it. Let's have it not bleed into everything, right? Let's do our best to resist the unwholesome, to hold it at bay as much as possible. Not out of bad girl or bad boy or bad person, not out of that, but out of kindness and consideration, because we know that when we have too much coffee, it really does jack up the system way too much, right? The wisdom of that, the wisdom of saying, no, I'm going to not have that third cup today because that'll send me through the roof. And that is right there. That decision is renunciation, renouncing the habit of just going to it automatically without thinking and having it. So in the practice, it is about investigation. We are encouraged to look, to listen, and to feel, to pay attention to the ways in which we cause trouble for ourselves and for others. And then we are invited into a process of letting go and of learning some new skills toward moderation, skills that lead in the direction of less suffering and more ease of well-being. In particular, I think it's good to think about the stuff that's kind of harder to work with, because that's where we can give ourselves a hard time. Oh, there I go again. There I go again, talking to myself in an unkind way, right? And then beat ourselves up. We're talking to ourselves unskillfully. Instead of just like noticing that we've noticed, hey, I'm not talking to myself very nicely. Hey, what about that? How about if I just let that go and come back in, take a few breaths, smooth out the wrinkles of that, the tightening up that happens with that, smooth that out. and feel into like, hey, darling, how about we just kind of not keep going over that same story, because that's not going to lead anywhere other than you getting upset. Okay. So for now, how about if we put that down and we just stay here and breathe for a while and learn to do that, learn how to drop something, interrupt it, interrupt that chain of thought for a period of time out of wisdom, out of kindness and compassion for ourselves. This is what the Buddha is talking about, right? Letting go is not about like a punitive self-sacrifice. It's not about becoming martyrs. Letting go is about letting go of the stuff that binds us to suffering. And the wisdom of that, right? The wisdom of that. There's a logic. I think that what's beautiful, like even about looking at these paramis, there's a logic to them. They're not random. You know, the generosity of spirit to really hold up the values of non-harm and goodwill, of sila, which we talked about last month, and the generosity of spirit and the virtue that comes from learning how to restrain and resist the unwholesome and the unskillful, the stuff that gets us into trouble, the stuff that hurts us and hurts others, right? I think it's a beautiful way to think about it, that it's not coming from a place of punishment, but it's truly coming from a place of love and care and kindness, that we refrain, that we do our best to resist the habit of being unskillful, right? So again, we can do this in our very meditation practice. Think of like, when you take your seat in the morning, think of it as like a little laboratory time. You just kind of getting to spend a little bit of me time, a little bit of time to kind of check in and really see what's going on. And notice how, like when you just kind of let go of the busyness of your mind and you just kind of are sitting there, notice how, for example, you're talking to yourself. How are you narrating what's happening in some way? Are you narrating it with a loving, kind voice? Right? Is it casual or disinterested? Is it more like, you know, seeing this, or is there some kind of like, oh, look at this. Oh, feel this breath coming in. Oh, this breath actually feels nice that it's coming in, right? That we can begin to notice and tune into something that's really more meaningful than just following the narration, the habit of our narration, and maybe noticing if we're narrating in a way that's kind of unkind, how we might sweeten that up and say, hey, darling, look at, you're giving this to yourself. Today, we're going to sit together for a half hour and we're just going to check in and see how we're doing. And isn't that a lovely thing? And we're going to resist. We're going to refrain and abandon whatever chatter is going on in the mind about later on today, about what happened before. We're just going to let go of all of that and practice letting go of that busyness that upsets us and try to stick with feeling into goodwill and feeling into calm and ease and spaciousness and kindness, and practice that. Okay? All right. We can do this. It's for our welfare. This is what the Buddha is always saying. It's for our welfare that we play around with this stuff. Okay? And don't trust me. Don't trust anybody. Don't trust the Buddha. Trust yourself. What does it feel like when you let go of suffering? What remains? What remains when you let go of the suffering? Is there more freedom inside? Does it feel a little easier to breathe? Do you feel a little bit more comfortable in your skin? Check it out. Check it out. Okay. Thank you. So let's take the next few moments and let go of all the words. Kindly adjust the eyes, kind eyes, and open up the interior. Create some inner space through movement and breath. Nice big inhalations, nice big exhalations. So we open up from inside out. And we're breathing in fresh air. We're letting go of stale air, cranky air, upsets, and we're breathing in fresh air. Deliberately feeling into a posture that feels comfortable enough that you can stay there for the next little while and feel relatively okay. And eyes open, eyes closed, soft gaze. Perhaps taking a few deeper than usual inhalations and deeper than usual exhalations. And then let the breath find its own rhythm, all on its own. And keep kindly tuning into the whole of the body as it sits here and give it space to open up and unwind and settle down. Breathing in, opening up the interior. Breathing out, softening and settling all the way through the torso into the base onto the ground. And with kind eyes, just notice if there's any busyness in the mind, let that busyness be like clouds in the sky. And meanwhile, giving clear attention to this sitting here comfortably and making space for whatever arises that it can pass through easily. letting go of stress, feeling back into comfort and ease.
caring attention. Out of caring attention, letting go of the tension that can easily be let go of, and making room for whatever tension remains. And in the last few minutes of the meditation, breathing in and feeling the whole of the body as it sits here. And one more time, breathing life into the experience of ease. Feel it resting. And then gently open the aperture of attention and feel the space around the body. How the body has as much room as it needs to breathe and be just as it is. Then open the aperture of attention a bit more and sense all of us sitting here with you and you sitting here with us. All of us sitting on the same earth, breathing the same air. And sitting here together, creating a field of goodwill, learning how to offer kindness and care internally and externally. And that's a beautiful gift that we give ourselves and each other. So just take the next few cycles of breathing and breathe with that awareness and let that resonate with all of the cells of the body. It's safe here. Blessing of that. You stop the recording.